Hi there, and welcome to the Curious Collective podcast, conversations designed for the conscious community to bring awareness to those holistic practices to help you live your best life. So tap into the wisdom and knowledge of our guests to extract what you need to heal, transform, and live as your true soulful self. Now, I'm pretty impressed to have here with us today and pretty honored the amazing Scott Robinson, who you might all know from social media as the Brain Guy. So I was introduced to Scott through a really awesome army mate of mine, Sean Kober. And he said, hey, check this guy out, you'll love him. And he sent it through. And there was a competition going at the time where if you shared around the posts and did things like that on Instagram, you'd win a free session. Well, I stalked the crap out of every single page from all my different 3 Instagram pages. There was no way that I wasn't going to win that free session. And, I did win one. Thank you. And I ended up having 3 and, blew my mind and I think put me on the trajectory that I'm on today. So thank you, Scott, and welcome. If you'd love to introduce yourself to the listeners.
Oh, look, thank you for having me. What an intro. And yeah, look, I remember that. That was amazing. There was absolutely no way that you weren't going to win one of those prizes at the time. And I'm so grateful that you did in the end. And happy to say that it was completely fair and neutral and not rigged in any way. And it was very synchronous that we ended up getting together and getting to do all the things that we did. And yeah, look, the gift was for me in the end. So I'm really grateful to get to have been involved and to see what you're doing now and whatnot is awesome. And then, to sort of get to come back into connection and, get to just have a chat. And even for me, just to get to experience where your mind is at is beautiful. So really grateful to get to be here and looking forward to chatting.
Thank you so much. And I have been watching you closely and I love all the posts that you're doing on social media, not only the written ones, but you do lots of amazing videos. So listeners tap into those and just extract what you need. But can you tell us what it is that you're doing these days and what makes your heart sing?
Yeah, sure. Look, we can just make it really, really simple. And it's just, I'm just here to help.
Mm,
I just want to help. That's it. And it's interesting. I think truth is really simple. Complexities of the ego, and we can literally just leave it at that. I mean, so I got into this game via neurology, and you sort of learn all this really fancy dancy stuff that a lot of people can't explain, in the human brain and whatnot, and that's wonderful. But you can strip it right back and just make it really simple and just say, I'm here to help. And even a lot of healing types will talk about inner child work. And when people say the inner child knows who you are. And so just to put it in the context of the inner child, what was always really clear for me, I could take it right back to when I was a 3-year-old at kindergarten and having a discussion with some mates in the kindy playground about what do you want to be when you grow up. And I can remember feeling incredibly conflicted and stressed out because I didn't know if I wanted to be an ambulance man, a fireman, or a policeman. And, and that was just really troubling. But the reason why was I couldn't figure out which one helped people better. And it was like, I remember just thinking but the ambulance man, I mean, he saves sick people and takes them to hospital, but then the fireman's got a ladder and he literally pulls people out of burning buildings. Like that's pretty good. But the policeman's got a gun and he saves people from robbers. Like, oh, this is like, how am I going to work out which one? And, like that was there from when I was a tiny little child, and, just now to be doing what I'm doing, it's exactly the same. It's literally just there. It's a different frequency. It's via a different channel, different medium, you might say, but it's exactly the same. So I'm just literally trying to put information out there and just give truth to people and just allow people to sort of, I guess, understand more the truth of who they are, truth of what they are, pick up some tools along the way that helps them to unfold things in their life in a more true sense that literally just unfolds your very best self, your very best life. And and eventually gives you access to purpose. And really, that all unfolds via healing. So I've dissolved several limiting beliefs of my own. I didn't believe that was possible to be doing that en masse and just by talking and giving information out. I thought I was literally just throwing away all the excess leftover stuff that was not so valuable after one-to-one healing sessions. But turned out, like all of us, we're more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. And apparently that actually makes a real difference for a lot of people. So once I came into awareness that it was actually helping and making a difference, well, then I kind of became more intentional about it. And I guess just refined the message and tried to give more. And so, that's basically kind of where I'm at and what I'm doing. So I work on a one-to-one basis with people, done retreats, do some group work, done a few little workshops, But yeah, generally the one-to-one stuff is where really kind of the most amazing or the miraculous stuff happens. That's certainly where I get to see it because I'm involved. I do get a lot of messages from people telling me that, just from the talks that I've given or the information I've given out, that they've been able, that things have really turned around and changed in their life, which is wonderful. But yeah, so for me, I guess it's really just trying to give people the opportunity to come into that true function, which is healing. And that's the one true function that we all have, is we're literally here to heal. We have one function, and it's healing. And that healing opens you up to truth of self, opens you up to your very best life, opens you up to purpose, opens you up to everything you're really meant to do in this life. All your joy, all your fulfillment, literally all comes through healing. And the false idea that we have other functions is very much the destructor of peace. So thinking that you're here to judge and figure things out, thinking that you're here to, literally to determine what things are, or add something to eternal universal truth, like that literally is just going to destroy your peace. Like, we're literally here just to heal, improve ourselves, improve everybody else, and then just take all the joy that comes with that. And if you can,
feels so good.
well, that's the thing. And so if I can facilitate that, whether it's on a one-to-one basis with people, whether it's giving talks or just giving out some, some infographics or whatever, well, hey, great. However it works, whatever the frequency is, I'm up for that. So I guess that's kind of where we're at in a nutshell.
Heck to the yes. And, it was actually, I've just reverted back, like I said before, to our initial conversation. That was like, I can't do superficial chats anymore. I have to go deep with people straight away. And I hadn't met you before, and that was our first session, and we were like, boosh, deep talking, like straight away, it was where it was at. And since then, and in the last 2 years, through everything you've just said then, all the right people come into your life, all the people that are, at the same frequency. And a conversation I've had really recently that I'd love to bring out with you, and we could talk into it some more, is if everyone on the whole, in this realm, was to face inwards and do that healing on themselves, and not worry about all the external and all the things, wow, imagine what would happen.
Yeah,
Just be phenomenal.
Yeah, look, and I think, look, it's happening. It's happening, and so like, how many of those teachers, how many of those people who are connected to that highest consciousness does it take to change the world? And the answer is one. It just takes one. So, but then we are all one. So one could mean one could mean many, but we're still all one. So we literally just be open to that change, and don't limit it. And I think, to me, it's looking at how and where humanity is going to solve all of its problems. And it's that shift in consciousness. It's shifting from a time-based reality to a consciousness-based reality. And when we get out of our own way and we understand, because at the moment when you're in a time-based reality, well, we look at problems and you say, well, it's going to take effort to solve that. I'm going to have to really apply a lot of effort, and all effort takes time. So we look at these big planetary problems and we go, like, we literally just don't have enough time. This is insurmountable. This is too big. And so then we're blocking it. We're literally blocking ourselves from finding the solutions that we actually need. When we shift to a consciousness-based reality, well, then what we're doing is we're kind of setting those invisible wheels in the universe to work for us. And then you don't need time. You literally have, we call it synchronicities, you can call it universal forces, you can call it principle, you can call it the field, you can call it whatever you like, but you're putting the universe to work for you, and you don't need time for that. So it's healing the global mind. It's literally healing that oneness of mind. And as we do that, things change, and it will gather momentum, gather its own steam, and it'll happen its own way. I wouldn't try and limit it by saying I know how it's all going to unfold. I'm just open to being with the truth of what is in the moment.
Yes. And we spoke into it a little bit earlier, and we might just touch on it now. As I was saying, as I live more like this, I feel like I'm living in my highest joy all the time. And if I stray from that, I'm trying to sort of find ways to bring myself back to that state, because it feels so good. Have you experienced that?
Yes, absolutely. And I was just saying that to a client yesterday, that I just feel exceptionally grateful, because I find myself feeling kind of unbridled optimism and hope and joy. And I just feel really good about my life. I just have these moments where I'm kind of just stopping and catching myself and just thinking, I'm just in love with everything in my life. This is great. And so to go deep on that and to try and understand it, you kind of need to understand that perception, because perception is how you experience, that's your experience of reality. So people say that perception is reality. No, perception is just what you perceive to be reality, what you perceive to be real in that moment. And perception is a result. It's not a cause. Perception goes in first. It goes in, it kind of chooses its guide for seeing. It goes in, it looks at what you believe, and it projects your belief system out, because you can only perceive the things that you believe are there to perceive. It's your belief system that makes your perception in the first place. So your perception goes in, checks in with your belief system. It projects the belief system out. You project your belief system out, and then your perception goes and perceives what you believe. And then you look at, then when you get that back, you go, oh, see, I knew it. That's real. Yep, it's bad. Things are bad.
Confirms it for you.
Yep, absolutely. And so this is the thing, that when we can see that and we can understand that, no, we're projecting out, and it's literally, it's what you are believing that's projecting out, and then you're perceiving that back. Well, if you feel unbridled joy and hope in the world, well, like, that's how you're seeing yourself. That's how you're seeing others, and you're literally setting them free. And we're talking, that's where we're talking about that shift in consciousness. If you're seeing, if you're feeling pessimistic and down and everything feels hopeless and the world's falling apart, and that's how that's what you're seeing in yourself, and that's what you're seeing in others. So what you're perceiving about the world you see is just an outside picture of an inward condition. And that's it. So when you feel that joy and you're seeing and you feel hope and you feel optimism and you're just loving your life, the world you're seeing is bringing you joy. It's because you've changed your inner condition. And so when you've changed an inner condition, the world looks very, very different. And so same thing, if you have most of the world sort of feeling pessimism and sad and down, well, there's an inward condition that they're reflecting outwards. And so, and then they're seeing that in others. And so that's really what we're here to shift, because as you do that, as like, we don't have an awareness of just how much we are actually making the world via our own perception, and when the whole world is in that unconscious or asleep perception and just assuming that everything's bad, and then checking in with everybody else and everybody else says the same thing and just confirming what you already believe, well, you kind of, that makes sense as to how you stay stuck. So as one of us shifts, as another one of us shifts, as more of us shift and start to feel that joy and that change that inner condition, then that can reflect back for others, because then you're holding others in that same light, and they can come into that, they can heal, they can change their own inner condition, and then their outward world changes as well. And so, and that's the kind, you can see how that is going to gather steam, gather momentum. But it's just a beautiful thing to look at that and say, like, the world you see is an outward picture. It's an outside picture of an inner condition. It's like, so it all starts here. It all starts inside. Okay.
I've got like full body goosebumps happening as you're talking, and picturing all these people like, popping out and going up, like, raising their frequency. Re-listen to that, listeners, if that was a bit too quick for you, or come back to it in a few weeks and re-listen to that, because that is gold. So how did you get to doing the work you are now? Like, what's been the evolution to bring you to where you are today?
So I started in a paradigm called applied movement neurology, which is just a fantastic paradigm. And always, what I do now has evolved a lot, but their work is fantastic. And, if you're looking to sort of resolve physical dysfunction or pain or sickness or, movement complaints, they're a fantastic paradigm to go and investigate. And when I started with them, they were just really liberating, because it just, first and foremost, it just made sense. I really struggled at school, and then I went and started working with those guys, and everything in their education system just made sense, and it just felt easy. But one of the things I remember them saying in so many words was that we're really happy to admit that we don't know very much about the brain. Our society is really happy to say there's far more about the brain that we don't know than what we do know. But then if you look at all of our paradigms have what we call institutional imperatives. As in, there's certain rules that, that whatever your findings would need to comply with, or you need to see things a certain way, you need to explain things a certain way. And applied movement neurology just said, look, we're doing our best to just make sure there's no institutional imperatives here. So whatever you find, because we don't know what it is, who's to say that our institutional imperative would be right? So just whatever you find, just go deep, go and search, go and seek for truth. If you find something that's working, hey, let's explore it. Let's look at it and see where it goes and see if we can understand it. And so that just took the handbrakes off. That just made me free. And I didn't actually appreciate just how wonderful and what a blessing that was at the time. Because I guess as I have looked at so many other different paradigms, so many other different ologies, and they all have these institutional imperatives, you know, that literally put constraints on the results or put constraints on the reality. And without that, you're free to just dive in and ask truth. And so that's basically what happened. I started with the brain. You started working with all these complex neurologic systems and, you know, complex brain circuitry, and you just end up going really deep and finding spirit and literally just finding the universe and finding consciousness. And that has just unfolded so much. And I guess the words, if you're on this journey yourself, or you're exploring and looking to try and work out what's right, like what's best for you and your frequency. And we were just talking earlier about, you know, really going deep into your own frequency and understanding that truth and unfolding things in your own unique frequency, because that's where they will be best and where they'll be greatest and where they'll be most truly expressed. Is ask for truth, like literally just diving in and asking for truth, and then just allowing that to unfold is absolutely huge. And I think so for me, that's really been that's been the journey. And then just allowing your results to convince you. You know, you don't, if you're finding things and you're making theories or you're coming into new information, you don't have to go in and swallow that hook, line, and sinker. You don't have to go and, you know, start spouting that off to everybody straight away. It's not about that. It's about, you know, apply that, try that, look at that, and
get curious.
Go be curious. Follow the true guides. The true guides will always be peace. Like if it's true, like the universe is perfect. If the universe is perfect, there's no conflict. So there's going to always be peace. So if you can find something that brings you peace or brings peace to the person that you're working with, you're probably on track towards truth. And then the more you explore that, you don't have to go and start, you don't have to be evangelical about whatever it is that you're finding. You don't have to go and try and push that onto anybody. You can literally just be with the result. And as you notice that the results are improving, well, the results will convince you. And so that's basically all I've done, is just continue to explore. And the more the results have kind of gotten better and stronger and more powerful, well, it's difficult to argue that you're not on the right track. So that's kind of been the journey, is just keep exploring in that space. And that continues. So things just keep changing, you know, on a week to week or a month to month basis, really.
You know, I really love how humble you are. And I think, you know, how you just spoke into there, like you don't need to be evangelical. Like there's so many people out there, you know, they only know what they know, they're doing what they feels right, but they're spruiking this and that. And in a lot of the cases, you know, they haven't even embodied the work that they're spruiking. You know, so it's not even from a place of pure embodiment or where they're actually at. And I love that you have, and I love that you are, and that exploratory phase that you're talking about and the trusting and allowing, I think is so important.
I think, and I guess this is, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who've had this experience, but I can remember, so I was insatiable, you know, especially still am, but certainly early on, you know, we're learning all this information, and I had an awareness that, like, I think there's more. Like, I think I can do better at this, and I'm going to get better, and I want to be able to help people more. And I can remember like the more things you pull into your awareness without having, you know, an initial mastery of, well, you're desperate to figure out, how do I master that? How do I get better at? How do I improve what I'm doing? And so all of this information I was learning, I was searching for teachers and thinking, like, who can show me the path, who can unfold things, who can try and help me dive within and find my own true capacity. Where's my gift? How do I find, you know, who I truly am and what I'm supposed to be doing? And I remember at every single turn, intuitively, and then getting this feedback back from other people that I'd try and do some work with, I just kept getting the message back in multiple different forms, multiple different frequencies. Like, stop looking for teachers, like just stop it. You know, and everywhere I was going, and like, can I do this course? Can I look into this? And I just kept getting like, just stop it. Like, it's in you. You need to unfold it. And I really struggled with that, because
The
I was
great
thinking,
surrender.
because it was like, well, no, well, I want to learn. How am I going to learn? I need a teacher to show me. No, you don't need a teacher. It's in you. But I don't know. And then you're in that same noise of
The loop.
yeah, exactly. So I was in that loop for a long time. And I'll just tell the story really quickly. I was on a retreat in Bali, and I was teaching. So doing the teaching and doing the healing work, kind of, you're in demand. Everybody wants to have a piece of you and get healing from you because you're the teacher. So, but I was coming towards the end of the retreat, and I was thinking, like, you know, I'd be really happy to have someone, you know, invest some time on me if anybody's interested. And there was a woman there who is just a beautiful soul, and I knew that she did a lot of work with animals, and she had some higher, you know, she had like higher sense perception, and she would get, you know, intuitive feedback from some higher level of consciousness. So I just thought, you know what? I want to go there. I just want to see what comes out. Like, is there a message? Is there something?
Mm.
And so I asked her for help, and she looked at me and sort of raised an eyebrow and said, like, are you sure? Because like what I do is very different to, what you're doing. I was like, look, hey, I'm open, whatever you can find. And she kind of went, okay, all right, well, look, I can do this, but I'm going to have to talk to that gentleman that's just sitting off your left shoulder. I'm like, okay, whatever you want, fine. And so then literally she just said to me, she's like, so he says, stop it. He says, stop chasing around. You're running around looking for teachers and looking for mentors and looking for this and looking for that. And it's in you. Just stop it. And it was literally word for word everything I've been receiving. And I was like, okay, I don't have any way to explain that. But I need to pay attention to it. And so then I was like, okay, I need to slow down and let's look into things like meditation. Let's look into mindfulness. Let's see if I can unfold whatever this information that is that's within. And yeah, and then from there, like so much unfolded, so much changed. And so that was just an incredible gift of a moment to get to experience. And yeah, so however it happens for you, whatever it is that gets, if you're listening to this, whatever it is that gets you on that true path to sort of unfolding, that beautiful wisdom that's within you, just embrace it, allow it. If it's outside your reality, just sit still with it and allow it to unfold as truly as it possibly can, would be my advice.
Oh, what brilliant advice. And I love that you saw that woman, and I love that she just gave it to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to hear that truth. And I have to admit, I've actually had people say that to me. I have this beautiful friend who's actually guest number 3 on this podcast, who once pulled me aside and she said, Kate, can I give it to you real? She goes, stop it. And she did the same thing. And she said the same thing. And she's like, just get out there and do it. And I'm like, we need these little reminders sometimes, don't we?
Yeah,
So thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm still so grateful for that one. It was just, it was so profound. It was on like word for word. It even felt like the frequency, like the tone of voice, everything she was giving it to me was just, it felt like everything that I've been receiving. It's like, I just can't possibly argue with this. It just feels too right, too true. And okay. And then, yeah, so going into that and allowing things to unfold in their own way. So I think it's really key to pass off the awareness that we all exist in equanimity. We're all equal. We're all one. So having just spent time intentionally, holding my attention on my intention of unfolding all of that. Well, it looks like you're further down the track to people, and then it looks like you're more gifted, or it looks like you've got some amazing talent. And that's the feedback that I'll get back a lot from people. But I'm no more gifted than you are. I'm no more gifted than the next person. We're all equally gifted. Your gift is determined by what you believe you are, and the extent to which you embrace that is the extent to which you'll express the gift. So if you're prepared to allow yourself to get out of the way and just say, you know what? I don't know the meaning of anything I perceive. All of those limiting beliefs that I thought I had about myself, you know what? Maybe none of those are true. Let's just dive into this and see where it goes. And whatever it is where I find my true passion, however it is that I see myself, I can begin building that brain, literally building the connections, building the mind that literally allows me to unfold that truth of self. And so every single one of us is uniquely beautiful, and we'll have our own unique gift, and we'll express that in our own unique and true way. But it's equal. It's my gift is equal to yours, is equal to the next person's, equal to the next person's. And depending on what you believe about yourself and who you believe you are, is how and where you'll express that. So never self-minimize when you see, people expressing their gift. You can embrace that and celebrate that and just think like, wow, I have the same gift. It might be spread, in equal amounts of 10% over 10 different areas, but I have the same and equal amount of gifts that is just there waiting to express. Like, go within and find it, unfold it.
Man, that is so good. I actually needed to hear every single word you just said. So thank you. And listeners, that's another one you can rewind and listen to. Self-belief is something that's missing. I need it from a lot of people just in my sort of immediate circle. Is I keep reminding them, like, don't play yourself down. Like, I wish you could see in you what I see in you, this, this beautiful gift. But like the way you just worded it is just spot on.
Well, and then think, even our scientific paradigm is catching up with this. And I think they've done studies on this and they understand it. They can understand the power, you know, at least some of the power of visualization and meditation and what we can do. So if you think, like, there's been loads of studies on people who, let's say there's one that I can remember about, you know, piano playing. And so literally giving people a piece of music that's really like dominant with the left pinky finger. So the left pinky finger, which is typically the least dexterous of the fingers, or you know, one of the less, you know, less dexterous of the fingers, giving them music to play that included lots of notes that you have to hit with the left pinky finger. And then having another group that, you know, so they give people given that music and then told to go away and practice. Others who were literally just told to just go away and do nothing. Others who were told to go away and just not play, not practice, but just meditate on actually playing the notes. And so the groups that went away, and the group that went away and actually played the notes, literally increased all the neural connections in the corresponding areas where the left pinky finger is mapped out in the sensory and motor cortex. So it's literally all of a sudden you've got more neuronal connections there. It's like you're increasing the amount and the degree to which the brain can actually see that left pinky finger. The people who went away and, you know, didn't practice, didn't do anything, they experienced no change. And the group that went away and meditated on playing the notes, but didn't actually touch a key, didn't actually touch the piano, they built out a very similar number, just marginally less, a very similar number of new connections in that same area. And they literally built the brain that supports that level of function. And so there's been loads of studies on people who, on the exact same thing with lifting weights. You know, people who go and lift weights get stronger, people who go and meditate on lifting weights and also experience a strength gain. Not as much as actually having lifted the weights, but they actually make themselves stronger. And we've got all these different studies that have seen that. Now, when you put that together with the truth that your gift will be determined by what you believe you are, I'll just give you the anecdotal experience I've seen with my son, who is a really gifted little runner. And he has believed he's an athlete ever since he was probably about 2 years old. And as soon as he, you know, he's been desperate to get to compete at school and desperate, or just, he doesn't see the point of life unless you're competing at something. And, you know, he went to his first regional athletics carnival, which was a big thing because he qualified. He's all so excited. And he's literally just sitting in front of the TV watching YouTube, you know. And my wife and I kept saying to him, like, mate, at some point you are going to have to train. You can't do this all on YouTube, mate. And he just sat there and like, yeah, whatever, Dad. Like, oh, sure. And then my wife ended up sending me a message from the regional carnival because I was babysitting the other two, and said, we might have to go back on that YouTube comment. He's just done a 60 centimeter PB. Because he's been sitting at home watching Carl Lewis and Mike Powell going at each other on a loop. He's been watching their epic duel from 1991 at the World Championships. And we've got photos of this little 7-8-year-old kid replicating the same form and like throwing the arms up and the legs going forward and, you know, and just throwing down these amazing personal bests, because in his mind, he's building all the connections that literally support that function. So he believes he is that athlete. At every single moment you spend in that belief, you are building the brain that supports the expression of that belief. So every single moment you spend just dreaming about the thing that you want to do and imagining being that person and imagine running across the finish line or jumping or leaping, you are literally building all the connections that build that brain out. Now, when you're Usain Bolt and you get to the Olympics and you win the gold medal, everybody looks at you and just says, oh, you're insanely gifted, good genes. Nobody's seeing that little kid since the age of 4 or 5 has been dreaming about it and literally making the connections and building the brain and literally building that gift and building the tools that he needs, the vehicle that he needs to express that gift, express that belief of who he is ever since he's a little tiny kid. And that is so powerful because every single one of us can do that. And there's no point that's too late to start. So if you have a dream, if you have a passion, if you know what your joy is, then you can start putting that into the mind and start meditating on that and start just being with that, be conscious with that in every single waking moment of the day. If you don't know what your joy is, well, then it's time to go back and connect with that inner child. What did you love doing when you were a kid? Go find your joy. Once you find the feeling, you can find where that wants to express in your adult life. It might not be the same activity, it might not be climbing trees, but it'll be the same feeling and it'll give you that buzz. And then once you find how it wants to express, you can get meditating. You can literally start imagining that. You can start building that brain that's going to express that gift. And every single one of us can do it because every single one of us is equally gifted. So it's a beautiful way of looking at it. And it's so true and it's so powerful.
It is so powerful, Scott. Everything you've just said, so powerful. I've got this like voice telling me like, you're the author, you're scripting your life, like in my head. And scripting by feeling
Mm.
what that feels like, and that true cellular level belief that it's already there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's so true. As soon as you come into that awareness, you are no longer the victim in your life. You go to from being the victim to being the author, and you talk to people who, are in chronic pain states or chronic fear states, or, expressions of the lower level of mind. And they'll tell you, oh, but it's all physical. It's in the cells. It's in the body. Well, what's in the cell? What's in the nucleus of the cell? Your subconscious mind. Your mind is in every cell of the body. So if that's your belief and that's what you're feeling and that's what you're expressing, not your conscious talk, your conscious mind is only 5%. So just the words that you're saying are a much lower level stimulus. And yes, they're important and they can be used. They can convey power. You can convey spirit. You can convey power via your words, but your words aren't as powerful as the feelings. Your words aren't as powerful as literally the thought, the thought and what that thought is engaging with. And so it's that subconscious thought, what you truly, truly believe at the deepest of levels, and you'll connect with that via your feelings. And you can change things at a cellular level. Absolutely. Connect with purpose, everything in your cellular expression will improve.
It feels so good. I'm going to go and do some meditation this afternoon. Oh, Scott, you've just given us so much gold throughout this whole podcast. I usually ask people, like, if you had any advice for the listeners, what would you say? But you've just dropped beautiful advice the whole way through. But if people were wanting to explore the work that you do more, we've got all your links and everything down below. But what advice do you have them around the work that you do?
So feel into it. People contact me all the time and I always say, go with what feels right. Go with what feels true. Like I'm not here to try and collect clients. I'm not here to try and, get as many sessions out of people as I possibly can. I just want to help. And there'll be times in the journey, there'll be times when I am absolutely the right person to help certain people. And there'll be other times when they really need to be going somewhere else, or they just need to be going within. And a lot of times it's just helping them open up and facilitate that so they can have that ability to go within and then unfold what's there and what's waiting for them. So I always say, feel into it. If you get the very real sense that someone is speaking truth and someone is like what someone is offering or speaking about, like they know something that you don't know, or that they may hold the keys to unlocking that truth within you, they're the places that you really want to explore. You really want to explore those spaces. And if the words that I'm giving off give that sense, if they give you that peace being the guide to truth, if they give you that sense of peace, or that sense of, oh, there could be freedom here, then yeah, they're the spaces that you want to explore. So I have people that literally hear one talk and then go and book a session. I've got other people that will sit in the background for 12 months, 24 months, like a couple of years before they sort of feel they're ready to pull the trigger. But whenever it feels really, truly right, that's the time to go and explore and just go and dive in, because that's when you've managed to get yourself out of the way in terms of just being open enough to actually receive the change and receive the result that's awaiting you.
Yeah, that's what I keep saying. It keeps playing in my head, is this like, get out the way. Well, you said it earlier and you said it again now. And since then too, now is like, get out of your way to me. So I'm like, thank you so much. I've got so much out of this call, and I'm sure that the listeners have also. We really appreciate your time today, Scott, and thank you.
Super grateful for you. So look, as I said, super grateful just to get to connect again and, see
Yeah.
what you're doing here, where you're at, and just, yeah, see how you're helping. And then to get to be involved in that and hopefully help a few other people as well is really, really cool. So thank you for you. And thank you for the opportunity once again.
Awesome. Thank you, and goodbye, listeners.